afternoon. We are live. We're semi-live. We're here at Wisdom Harbor Studios. I'm Andy Andrews. You've joined us on the Blue Plate Special, and we're in Orange Beach, Alabama. It's a beautiful day outside here at the wharf, and this is the big shopping district in downtown Orange Beach. We are home of the beautiful marlin statues and the infamous escalator statues. So when you visit down here, you have to have your picture taken on the escalator statues and post that online. If you're new to the show, we'd like to ask you, if you're on Facebook, to please click that notification button up there and turn the notifications on your phone. That way, when we go live, anytime we go live, you will be officially notified that we are live indeed. And share. Sharing is caring, and so you can click that share button, share to your page. Even if you're afraid that we're going to embarrass you live, you can wait, watch it through, and then share it to your page later when you're sure that we don't cuss or say anything that would embarrass you, which we may. If you're on Twitter, we're glad to have you here. We will be doing more than 140 characters on this show. If you're on YouTube, click that subscription button, and on LinkedIn, we're glad to have you, even though all of you are in your ties, and we're just kind of hanging out here. Like to say hey Bob Woodall from Dothan, Alabama. Call Bob. I grew up with Bob. And there is Lumakai in Kenya. We're glad to have you here. Stay inside. What time is it in Kenya? I don't know. But we'll just hope that the lion sleeps tonight. And so just stay inside. There you are in Spokane. There's Heather Olson in Salt Lake. We're glad to have you here. We're glad to have all you guys join us. We got a special show today. This is a very special show. And I have a buddy that has agreed to take time out from his day and join us. And you know this guy. He's been on the Professional Noticer, and you hear him. I mean, you hear him every day. He's nationally syndicated. And I'm not going to tell you what his name is yet, but he is nationally syndicated. He's the host of the Ken Coleman Show. I'll tell you his name in just a moment. But he is a #1 national best-selling author of The Proximity Principle. And he has a new book out. And I begged him, please, just come on, hang out with us on the Blue Plate Special. It's totally just relaxed. It's just hanging out. And but he has a new book, From Paycheck to Purpose. Please welcome, and here is his name. It is, in fact, Ken Coleman. Hey, Ken.
Andy, how are you?
Good, man. Good. How are you?
I'm good. I want people to know, since you revealed the name of the show before you told them my name, that we spent hours and hours and hours and tens of cents on coming up with that name, and it just finally came to us. And we thought, this is the right name of the show.
It's a good thing to get a lot of people involved in the research and the the testing that name and
sure.
And it's worth the tens of cents that you spent.
I think that's right. We're really proud of the creative force that took to come up with that name. So very proud of it.
Hey, how is the show going, by the way? I mean, you're daily.
Yeah, well, thanks for asking. Yeah, we're on all the things. We've been doing YouTube now for about 2 years, and that's growing really, really fast. And of course, we have a podcast of the radio show that goes out daily. We've been on Sirius XM now for 4 years, and we're now just landed our 76th station. So we're trying to get to 100 stations. Very hard to do when syndicated radio, as you know, is dominated by politics, and we're talking purpose. And so really grateful to have the penetration that we do have. and the show is growing. You know, we're coming up on 30 million downloads of the program, the podcast version of it. So, you know, we're just helping people and showing up every day with a kind of an attitude of this is a lighthouse, and you're welcome here, and we want to help you get clear because the world needs the best of you. And so, from that standpoint, we're just having a ball coaching people up. It's the joy of my life is to coach people.
I would think that at some point people are gonna get. Aren't people gonna get tired of politics, especially now when you can't? You can't believe what anybody's saying.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You know, it's interesting. That's a very interesting question. It makes for good radio. It makes for good ratings because there's a certain portion of the population that is scared and angry. And so fear and anger are powerful impulses. And so unfortunately, and you and I are very much aligned on what it was really the antidote to those things. You and I aren't in the fear and anger business. We're in the hope and joy business.
right.
And unfortunately, everybody wants hope and joy, but they respond to fear and anger. And the media knows that. And so there's just always going to be a large audience for that.
You know, it's sad, but you know, I guess it reflects, in a way, it reflects our societal love of NASCAR and pro bull riding. You know, it's just like you can't take your eyes off of it because there's gonna be a wreck soon. And you don't want anybody to get hurt, but if it happens, you don't want to miss it either. So, and I suppose, you know, I knew a few years ago, I knew I was not meant for the American media. I had done a thing with Robin Roberts on Good Morning America, and when we were through, and Robin and I talked, and she left, and I was getting ready to go, one of the producers came up to me and said, "Oh, that was great. That was great. Do you have any other material that is interesting like that?" That, you know, and I said, "Yeah, I got a lot. I've got some parenting stuff that I can present and explain why it works as it does, and when I explain it, everybody will agree with it." And the producer went, "You know, I'm really looking for something. You know, we have 4 hosts, and something that 2 of them can agree with it, and 2 of them can disagree, so that they can argue." And I said, "So you're not looking for anything that answers a question that everybody can agree with?" And the producer said, "No." I knew. I said, "This isn't my world."
Yeah, you know, this takes us, you and I both love history. This takes us back to Rome and the Colosseum and the gladiators. I mean, give the mob what they want. They want to see fighting. They want to see death. And unfortunately, that is the underbelly of our humanness, is that the sensational, the controversial, unfortunately, it draws us humans to the flame like a moth. And so, but I would also say that while that will always be true, it also underscores the importance of showing people hope, showing people a future, showing them purpose in their life, showing them an opportunity to rise above that crap and actually make a difference in the lives of others. And when they get to the end of their journey, look back and reminisce, not regret. So I think there's plenty of room to be a counter to that unfortunate, nasty message.
Right. Now, your new book, From Paycheck to Purpose, is just out. Tell me about it. I mean, I'm excited about this. I loved the proximity principle, and just the title of your book, From Paycheck to Purpose, tells me a lot, and I'm already interested. So, tell me more.
Yeah. So, in 4 words, I believe we've captured the two emotions around work. And I choose the word emotion specifically. The two emotions around work are I have a need, an emotional need to provide, so provision. So paycheck is the provision,
Right.
but purpose is the contribution. And so what I wanted to do was, as you know, when you write titles, you have very limited time to grab people's attention. And so I wanted to capture the nerve around work, and that is provision and contribution. But I also wanted to show people that there is a way, in 4 words, to work, not just for a paycheck, but to work on purpose, to achieve income and impact, to make money and make meaning happen. So money, meaning, income, impact, right? That's what From Paycheck to Purpose is about. And as you know, I'm a big believer in showing people a practical path, not motivational gibberish about how awesome you are and how greatness
Right.
can be achieved. I think that's cotton candy. I'm not in the cotton candy business, and I'm in the business of giving people tools and giving people hope and direction. And that's what this book does. And in the 7 stages, as you know, they lead people right up to the top of the mountain, from stage 1 all the way to stage 7. Get clear, get qualified, get connected, get started, get promoted, get the dream job, give yourself away. Those 7 stages are sequential. They can be repeated as we begin to experience and live the dream, and we see our view has changed. And so, really, really excited about it because I simply believe that this book um, demystifies the possibility that you can discover what you were born to do and actually do it. It's not a lucky journey that only a few fortunate souls happen upon. It is doable, and I'm excited to share it, to take away the fear of what that journey is like. Because here's what I know, Andy. Just as though we don't have to teach toddlers how to say no, or teach a toddler how to ask a question, or how to steal a toy from another toddler. We don't have to teach human beings to lay awake at night or behind the wheel of a car or on the dock to wonder, what am I supposed to do in my life? Like, nobody teaches you how to ask that question. So why is that? Because we are souls. We are spiritual, and we long to make a contribution. And it is that longing to contribute to the world, to contribute ourselves to others. It's hardwired in us. That's why nobody has to teach you to ask that question.
You know, you talk all day, every day, fielding questions from people who are searching. And so, what inspired you to dig in on this particular topic? And I know the difference in speaking and broadcasting and writing. And it's a major, it's just a difference, and it's harder. And so you got to be certain when you start writing. So what inspired you to go in this particular direction on this?
Well, I work for this guy named Dave Ramsey who's changed millions and millions and millions of people's lives because he, in doing the Dave Ramsey show in the early days, listened to his caller, not just to coach them and counsel them on that specific call, but he listened for the patterns. And
Right.
as he listened to all the different calls, he realized there is a clear path here, and he created the baby steps as he went along. And it was because he had listened and he had paid attention to the problem. And so when Dave developed the 7 baby steps, which have now literally transformed the lives of millions and millions and millions of people and built this huge Ramsey Solutions thing, it's made this guy an icon and all the things. I paid attention to Dave. He's not just my boss, he's my mentor. And he challenged me and other personalities here at Ramsey Solutions. He said, hey, I didn't set out to create a clear path. It happened. But I can tell you, as I look back on it, it was the clear path that created exponential influence and transformation. And so, Andy, for 3 years, in fact, when I wrote my last book, The Proximity Principle, that was a deep dive. That was a real hyper-focused book on the art of connecting, which will lead you to opportunities. But It was around the time that book had been out, maybe 6 months to a year, that Dave challenged me and the other personalities. And so, you know me, I immediately like, okay, yeah, I love it. And so I started thinking of acronyms, and I tried to develop, the acronym DREAM, and I had some decent content with it. And I was trying to develop this clear path so that anybody I would come in contact with, I could easily explain how do you discover what you're supposed to do and then actually do it and do it to your full potential. And honestly, Andy, I wasn't pleased with it. I didn't like it. It wasn't there. I knew it wasn't there. It was like pulling out a cake too early, you know? And
Right.
you know what I'm talking about, right? It
I
looks
do.
really
I
good.
do. I totally know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you do this and you cut into it and the whole thing
It's almost
collapses.
it's almost like you're writing and you can't remember a name that's on the tip of your tongue. It's just an awkward feeling. You just know it's not there.
It's not
Yeah.
right. And so we went to 30A, which if heaven's in the southeast, it's at 30A, in my opinion. And we were at the beach with my family, and I get up earlier than everybody else, and I love to go down the beach and just sit right on the ocean, sit in the sand in the early morning with a cup of coffee and just sit there. And it's one place in my life where my brain actually slows down and I don't think a lot. I just sit and experience and reflect. And so anyway, I'm in a frustrated season where I'm trying to nail this thing. And so I told my wife the night before, I said, hey, I'm going to go down early. I just need some writing, thinking time. And so I got up early and I got down there and I had my coffee and I was sitting there and it's just the wind and the waves and no one else was out there, just a few passersby. And I was just sitting alone with God and listening to the waves. And I prayed a quick prayer and I said, Lord, free my mind. And I'll remember this to this detail. I remember it like it was yesterday. I'll never forget this. And I pulled out my moleskin. I'm a big fan of moleskin, and I had a pencil. And I rarely talk to myself, but on this morning I said, all right, Ken, if you were going to explain as simple as possible to a 17-year-old kid how to discover what they were created to do and do it, how would you say it in 2 minutes to a 17-year-old kid? And for whatever reason, that's the way I framed it. I had not framed it that way before. And I really believe God answered my prayer, number one. But I also believe, and I think there's a lesson here for your audience, particularly people who would like to kind of develop content, that what I did is I suspended all of the crap that goes on in your brain when you try to develop something and make it sound great. And I just suspended all that crap. And I just said, how would you say it in 2 minutes or less to a 17-year-old kid? And I gave myself some boundaries, and in doing so, freed my mind. And this is what happened. I literally, with my pencil, wrote, get clear. And then I wrote, get qualified. And then I wrote, get connected. And I looked down, and you've been there before. I went, ooh, there's 3 gets. Let's see if I can get some more gets. And it just kept going. And I ended up with the 6, get the dream job. And then when I brought it back to some key people in my life that I really trust, and this is also gold, because you got to get it outside of your head and heart. You got to give it to people who have no skin in the game, no emotion around it, but also that you trust. And
Right.
I've got those people in my life, some good content people who have no skin in the game, and they added the 7th stage, give yourself away. And it was like, oh yes, I should have thought of that, right? Because when I get the dream job and I write about this, in the final 2 chapters, actually the final chapter in stage 7, when you get to the dream job, what next? Because see, you're in your dream job, and so's Dave Ramsey, 2 guys that I look up to. And when you got in a dream job, and by the way, I'm in my dream job, but neither one of us just decided to go grab some sun tea and kick the shoes off and get in the hammock. What happened was, you and I were looking up just like Sir Edmund Hillary was. Okay? And when he finally gets to the top of Mount Everest, no other man's been there before. He's been looking up the whole way. And now he's at the top of the world, literally, and here, now watch what happens. He's looking out. And this is what happens. And that's why that final stage was so important, stage 7, give yourself away, because now I'm out the top of the mountain, and I am, but I'm 47, and Lord willing, God gives me 30 more years doing this work. But now my view is out here. I'm looking out, and so my dream has been realized, but now my dream grows. and I see a different view. And it is recorded that Hillary told his Sherpa climbing partner, after putting a few mementos at the peak and taking pictures, that he scanned the world, literally, sees another mountain range and says, that's the next range we're climbing. And then he goes on, and we know from history, to be the first man to go to the North Pole, the first man to go to the South Pole. And yet, here's the best part, and I know I'm getting ahead of it, but I can't not do this. Because this is why I wrote the book. You asked me why I wrote it. When I got that clear path and I realized this, and I began to say, this is the path I need to share to people, because this is what it's about. Sir Edmund Hillary, at the end of his life, was interviewed, and they said, what are you most proud of? And this is the greatest explorer the world's ever known. And he says, what means the most to me is that my fame has allowed me the fortune to be able to give back to the Sherpa community. And I've built schools, I've built homes, I've brought in hospitals. I have been able to invest in the lives of that beautiful community that means so much to me. And catch this, this is what's so beautiful. I got goosebumps right now. Is that he's the greatest explorer the world's ever known, and he doesn't mention Mount Everest, North Pole, South Pole. He talks about a relatively small group of people that he had an impact on. And it was that impact, people, that meant the most to him. So from paycheck to purpose, the 7 stages is because here's what you and I know, Andy. It's not about fame, finances, or power. It's about contribution.
Right. What is the biggest piece of advice that you've learned? Austin asked me this recently. He said, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given? So, Ken, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked me this. It's in the conclusion of the book. It was from my dad. And I was about 9 years old, in the back of a car after another soccer game on a Saturday morning. And I was 9, but I looked like I was 5. I was that guy. I'm a little guy. And back in those days, there wasn't everybody plays and we don't keep score. Okay? All right, folks? Right. Like back in the 80s, they kept score. And everybody didn't play. Only the good people played. Right. Okay, I know that's a foreign concept to people, but that was the truth. And I was the littlest guy on the team, and I didn't play much. But I wanted to play. And my heart was broken. And so I'm in the backseat of the car, my dad's driving, and we're at a stoplight, and he says, hey, bud, you okay? Because you could tell I was very quiet. And I looked up, and we met eyes in the rearview mirror, and I tried to get out something, but all that happened was I burst into tears. And he said, buddy, what's going on? And I said, Dad, I just want to play. And in his moment of trying to care for me, he said something that stuck with me for the rest of my life. And it's the greatest piece of advice I've ever received. And this is what he said. He said, get your chin up. You're going to get older. You're going to get bigger. You're going to get better. And this is what he said. He said, your time will come. Your time will come. Those 4 words, greatest piece of advice I've ever gotten, because it stayed with me throughout the journey that I've walked, that you know. I spent 10 years trying to get the dream job. So when I write this book, this isn't my opinion. Okay? This is, and you know me. And you've known me throughout the journey. And I'm not saying that to pat myself on the back. I'm saying that advice has held me when I felt like quitting and walking away. It has kept me going. It has increased my faith. And it has developed the muscle of patience, which I think is the secret sauce to truly living and working on purpose. The great men and women of history, it wasn't that they were persistent or that they had perseverance. It was that they were patient. They were willing to wait. They were willing to wait. And to wait is to suffer, which is why I choose the word passion when I talk about work you love. You got to be willing to suffer for it. So I'm covering all kinds of content, Andy. I'm sorry. I'm so deeply passionate about this stuff. But that's the greatest advice that I've ever received. Your time will come. But I can tell you this, if you don't keep showing up, your time won't come. But I can tell you this, if you keep showing up, and then you show up, and then you show up. Now watch this. And you show up, and you never stop showing up, here's what I know: the right time will come along.
From Paycheck to Purpose. That's the book. So, man, Ken, thank you for being with us today. Thank you so much. Where can people get the book? I'm assuming everywhere. Is there? How can they connect with you? We'll make sure our show notes guide people.
Sure. Well, first of all, let me say thank you for having me on. You know that you're one of my heroes. I've looked up to you. I try to emulate you. I think you're world class at what you do, and you've had a profound impact on me. So I want to say that first.
Oh, you're kind.
Secondly, I would say that there's a tool we've developed, Andy, that I may be as excited about this as I am the book. And it's called the Get Clear Career Assessment. And it walks you through online what I taught on, which is the Get Clear, which is you use your talent, what you do best, to perform your passion, what you love to do, to produce results that matter to you, mission. We didn't talk a lot about that. But when you can get clear and you know your purpose, which is simply this: to use what you do best, to do work you love, to produce results that matter to you. There's no air in that. That's as tight as it gets. That's your purpose. You got to fill in the blank. And we created a tool called the Get Clear Career Assessment that goes way deeper than Strength Finders. It covers all three of those key elements, and it fills out, once you get your report, it fills out those answers in that purpose statement. And I'm so proud of it because it's a compass, and it shows you where you can go to the marketplace to fulfill that purpose. And so that plus the book are available together in a bundle only at kencoleman.com.
Okay.
And so that's a great deal. For $30, you get the assessment for 10 and the book for 20. Steep discounts on both. You can't get that anywhere else, but the book is available anywhere books are sold. And I would also say, if I've in any way encouraged you and you feel like you need some advice and coaching, I'm on the air every day for 2 hours from 12 to 2. And you can get the phone number toll free at kencoleman.com. You can change your name, your location if it's a sensitive call, but that's my favorite thing to do. So call me. I would love to pour into you and help you out.
Awesome. Thank you, Ken. Thank you. And good luck with this book, man. We'll be talking about it again. And that's it, you guys, for the Blue Plate Special, Tuesdays and Thursdays right here in Wisdom Harbor Studios. And we're glad Ken was with us, and we're glad you were here too, and we'll see you next time.